welcome. Now today I'm going to show you, the reason why I sold my Yamaha Reface DX. I've been thinking about this for like a couple of years now. Now many of you will have seen the two-part videos that I did way back, when I first got the Reface DX, and how excited I was, and and that still stands. The reason for me basically selling the DX was not the DX's fault. It's just my situational thing. What I find is going to be best for me, what I have now. Please don't run. Anyway, thank you. Anyway, now it's not only the TX7, which I have. I've also got the Volca FM 2. It's basically a mini DX7. And I love that. In an ideal world, right, if money wasn't an issue, if space wasn't an issue, I just have a room which is dedicated to, like a grand room which is dedicated to my projects and my all these things that I love doing. And I'd have synthesizers, the best of my jobs. I would have bought a DX7 and other synthesizers which are kind of like, taking my fancy. It's an addiction. Yeah, but I'm just window shopping, right? Because I'm sensible that way. Okay, so literally it's just like a case of MIDI in to the Volca FM and MIDI out from here. And yes, do excuse the background and everything. This room is still a work in progress. I'm still working on it. Once it's finished, I won't even be able to sit here where I'm sat now, so because it's going to be like a nice workbench here. So yeah, for now, makeshift places until we get the actual result. So let's turn the Volca FM on. So if I change the patch here to... Thing is, it's got its own speakers, right? But I'm gonna connect it to this one because obviously this one's got better speakers. But I like the fact, the portability of it. You can just mess around with it, and it's got its own keyboard. Actually, I just turned it off. It's got its own like little keyboard there. It's makeshift. It's not even velocity sensitive or anything like that. But it's at least you can mess with it. Now I've just connected this to the internal speakers here, so that you can just like hear it out through there, as you would with the Reface DX. You see what I mean? You see why I decided that I kind of don't need it. I mean, the only thing that I would miss about the Reface DX is that, of course, these are not multi-timbre. You cannot use like you can with the Yamaha SY22 and the SY55. So I could have used the Reface DX as an extra instrument in that way. So it's just like... You get quite big sounds with it. Oh, I love this sound. I've used it in quite a few of the Paradox tracks. It's just the atmospheric sort of... I love that. Some people ask me, are you inspired by Jean-Michel Jarre or Vangelis, or actually mostly they've said, are you inspired by Kraftwerk? To be honest with you, I haven't listened to Kraftwerk as much as you might think. People said that after I wrote Mirrors. Are you actually no, I've only heard like a very few select tracks of Kraftwerk. I've not been a big Kraftwerk kind of listener. I'm not saying they're bad or anything, it's just that I'm not directly inspired by these artists. They're great, I love their music, but like I don't actively listen to like Vangelis or Jar or Kraftwerk or anything like that. Just, but I guess I'm like, I do like that kind of music every now and then. I do like elements of that music, you know, so it's, yeah, so I suppose what I like will be, it will exist in my music. The sounds are so beautiful. I think one thing I like about the Volca FM is that it does add effects to that. You can turn that off if you want, but you can add like reverb and space and like spatial effects like that. Whereas in the TX7, you cannot add anything like that. It's just like raw DX7 sound. See, this is, I'm using this as literally a MIDI controller, but the good thing about this is I can actually, you know, put that's using it like alongside its own analog synthesizer. And you just create like a really unique sound by just mixing them. So that's essentially a DX mixed with a CS. So, you know, you can just be creative like that and just... Okay, so we now have here the Yamaha TX7, the modular version of the DX7, and let's connect this up to the Yamaha CS Reface. So basically all it is MIDI out coming from the Reface, going in the MIDI in there. So in the same way we have the audio routing from the Yamaha into the CS, the Yamaha CS. Honestly, if you're gonna make a modular synth, please include an aux in. They come in so useful, it's amazing. So basically the bank here, the patch bank, I've put in the same one, except the FM expander only has a 32 patch size one, whereas the Korg Volca FM has a 64 patch size. So yeah, it's half the amount, but I still put in the ones which I use the most. Now, of course, you're getting at those who say that this isn't like, you know, fully authentic to the DX7, but when you can't say about the TX7, because that's literally from back in the day, it's completely authentic. So, and to me, to my ears, it sounds close enough, right? So, again, 6 operators. So this is why I felt there's not really any need for me personally, to have the Reface DX. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it or anything like that, but it's like, except for the 4 operator thing, I just think, why have you not made it compatible? You know, that's the little niggle I always had. But other than that, I actually loved it, and I think you can get more patches for it. I'm just like... improvisation. Just someone actually asked me, do you create the melody first? Actually, it was Rich's mom. She asked me, do you create the melody first, or do you create the chords first, or do you create, you know, whatever the other first and then fit the melody in? It varies. It just depends. You know, whatever comes first to me, I do that. So like this, in case right now, I just made this melody up right away, and I know I can expand on that. So that way I create it, but it depends on my mood. Sometimes I can mess around with, I'm in the mood to mess around with chords, and then it's actually more trickier, right, to create a melody around already created chords. You have to kind of follow the chord progression and all that, but and then when your melody kind of, if you're creating a melody and it goes in a different direction of the chords, you know what I mean? So you've got that juggling to do, whereas when you create a melody first, it's easier to make the chords and the bass line follow. The bass line kind of follows the chords, though you can get creative and make it fit in another position, which kind of gives it a nice effect. I've done that with Paradox, and I've done that with many other tracks of mine actually, but yeah. So that's how I sort of do it. I try and improvise a little bit like this, and then capture while I've got this mini disc labeled music doodles. So it's kind of like the equivalent of having a sketch pad and just kind of messing around. So I kind of just record a session of just messing around on, you know, a synth or something like this, and just, if I like the sound of it, then I'm not like having to remember, you know, what I did. I can just go back to it, and, you know. And the good thing about mini disc is that you can just chop it in the tracks. Like if I like something, I'll just press, you know, new track or something, so I can kind of go back to it and, you know, and take it from there and just put it in the Amiga or the Pallion tracker and then create, you know, music around it. That's basically how I do it. I'm gonna create a track around that in my latest album. Keep lookout for that. I've already done, as I said in the blog post, I've already done about 5 tracks. So, and that with a synth harp, with a nice FM sound. I like it. Again, it's strings, but it's got that FM flavor to it. I sort of like it. It's a bit Mega Drive-y, if you know what I mean, and Mega Drive again, FM, or FM Yam, you know, it's got that kind of a sound to it. That reminds me of a demo, and a few Amiga tracks, so this has definitely been sampled. It makes me think of Rebel's Mega Demo. So that's the thing, I've got basically two DX7s here, essentially, and I can, since it's not multi-timbre, I can at least use two separate, you know, for two separate instruments on the Pallion tracker or the Amiga if I'm using Octamed. So to kind of like use as the instruments. So maybe a bass and actually let's do that. You know, one of my later tracks. I don't know, do I kind of like reveal one track at least from my upcoming album? I think I will. At least one. So let's link both of these, each of these Yamaha TX7 and the Korg Volca FM to the Pallion tracker here. Right, so how I would personally set this up is right, so we have the Pallion tracker, we have MIDI in here and MIDI out here. So MIDI out is going to the MIDI in of this, the TX7, and then MIDI through, because we want the same signal, right? You connect the MIDI through, and this goes into the Volca FM. So essentially, the signal is being daisy chained, going into this and into the Volca. So that's the original. Right, so I'm kind of in a bit of a conflicted thing on which parts shall I assign, or which part shall I assign to the each of these. I want something that sounds different, but tempted to do this one. I was tempted to do the other one, but the attack was too kind of smooth. I might do this one, or else, yeah, and I'll just see how it sounds. And I believe this is on channel MIDI channel 5, so I'm gonna have to. That's the one. Okay, let's keep it at that. I just want to keep it a little bit different to the original, so you can just sort of tell that, you know, it sounds, there's something like different about it. Let's do synth chime then, yeah? Sounds good. No, I'm thinking about the bass. Now for that, I'm gonna do it over here. Oh crap, changing it all. Didn't know that, I just forgot it was on record. Let's undo that. Okay, so that's rooting through this, that's channel 1. Let's change that to bass, the FM bass. That was really nice. Okay, so the octave is a bit too high. What I want to do is lower that. So just, that's it. Perfect. Do you know something? I'm gonna route this through there because it just sounds odd. It's coming through these smaller speakers, but that's coming through like, you know, the really nice ones. The bass just sounds so flat this way, so just bear with me a moment. I'll find the lead to connect that up. Okay, that's much better. It's got some weight to it now. So let's unmute all of them. Is this actually using FM bass to begin with? Sample 5? No, it's Juno 60's WM bass. The Juno 60 bass somehow sounds more Amiga-like. So that's the bass, and that is the chords. So there you have it. The reason why I sold my Reface DX, and you know, I'm happy with the setup I have now, and you know how I can rig it up and how it all works, and you know, the more space freed up here around here, the better as well. And also, you know, Wayne, our Electronscape, is actually really enjoying it at the moment, and you know, creating music of his own on Fruity Loops. So, you know, totally different way of doing things to myself.
So what we're looking at is Maddie's graciously given me the DX Reface, and I got this so I can write music better. So this is the keyboard, okay, and me playing it. So admit it, my keyboard skills aren't all that great, but the best thing about it is if I turn the volume down on the keyboard and still hit the keys, that's my computer, you can hear it. So I'll turn the volume down, turn the volume up there. So the keyboard's actually picking up the tunes from there. But I can turn it down and play it on Fruity Loops. And I can do both. And these samples that you've got there are already be pre-programmed from MsMadLemon or Maddie, partly because she's had the keyboard first and knows a lot more about it than I do. Probably might want to check out one of her videos for this. The good thing about this is it's also pressure sensitive, so I can touch it gently like this. You can't feel anything, so you have to press it hard. On the back, you got fantastic stuff. I don't know what the aux in is. Again, that might be something that Maddie will be able to explain. A genuine MIDI port in and out if you want to connect it, but I've connected it to a USB port to the Fruity Loops over there. But the keyboard is amazing how it works, and it's so instant there doesn't seem to be any kind of delay. The bit that made me really happy is that I actually started sending instructions to the keyboard from the computer to make an additional instrument.
I will link his Bandcamp also in the description below. So, a couple of questions people have been asking. One of them I've answered about how I create my music. That was by Rich's mom, Jan, she asked me. And the other one is what's my inspiration? Am I inspired by Jean-Michel Jarre? And well, I have to say, as much as I do enjoy Jean-Michel Jarre's music, as well as Vangelis and Kraftwerk. Also, someone else also asked, is Kraftwerk your inspiration? Not directly, neither of them directly. I do enjoy Jean-Michel Jarre's music as well as Vangelis and Kraftwerk, but I don't listen to them as regular as you might assume. Like when I create something, I don't think, oh, I want this to sound like Jarre, oh, I want this to sound, it's not like, basically I just improvise like I did earlier on and just create how I feel. I mean, however it sounds, I don't know. Basically, I'm creating out of my heart, out of my soul, really. That's how I'd explain it. Also, I'm not the type to listen to mostly one band or one artist. I kind of like individual songs and from individual artists. I'm more into that. And I suppose, there are some tracks which I do like more of a certain artist because they have a certain style, but I don't follow certain artists. Like I don't become a really big fan of one artist, and I'm not like I don't idolize any artist. In other words, I'm not the type to idolize anyone really, and no celebrity, no artist, or nothing like that. I just kind of I do appreciate their work, cause if I hear something I like, I'm just like, ooh, what's that? Where's that from? And I just kind of so. This is how I work, really. So anyway, that's the answer to that. If you've got any more questions, yeah, please comment below or anything like that, and I'll answer them in videos or talk videos or anything like this. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my messing around and tinkering around with the DX7 and the Reface and all that. So anyway, for now, I will say adios. So, thanks so much for your likes, your shares, to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my other videos and do subscribe for more. Also, I do more than create videos, so for more content, don't forget to check out my website as it contains all what I do. I update my blog fairly regularly, by the way. I'm very happy with how I've designed my website and wish to thank Rich Garbett for all the hard work and effort he's put into making it all work. Also, a big thank you goes to my top tier patrons: Rich Garbett, Axel Dominator, Electronskip UK, Aaron Metcalf, Corey Ostman, Starglider77, Mark Bosak, Starlight Minako, Chris Seblinski, and Veronica Explains. No matter what the Patreon tier, each of you who choose to support me genuinely out of the goodness of your heart deserves appreciation. Hence, the least I can do to show my thanks is list your names in my videos, regardless of tier. Thank you again to all of you who genuinely support me. I'm really touched by it. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Until next time, adios.